Developing overnight, China is retaliating against President Donald Trump's 10% tariffs on Chinese products. The country implementing tariffs of its own on multiple U.S. imports. China will implement a 15% tariff on coal and liquefied natural gas products, plus a 10% tariff on crude oil, agricultural machinery, and large engine cars imported from the U.S. These go into effect Monday. China is also announcing it's launching an antitrust investigation into Google. Cell phones top the chart of the largest U.S. imports from China. That's according to the Census Bureau's values from 2023. Computers and accessories, as well as electric and industrial equipment, fill in the rest of the top three. This comes after President Trump paused the 25% tariffs on Canadian and Mexican imports. They were set to go into place just after midnight tonight, but now they're on pause for 30 days. Mr. Trump says Canada and Mexico have made concessions around border security and drug trafficking. Mexico has made moves to reinforce the northern border with 10,000 members of their National Guard. The 30-day pause provides a bit of a cool down after a tumultuous few days, but concerns about inflation from U.S. tariffs and a potential trade war not over yet. Lauren Lennon spoke with an economics professor at the College of Charleston about what we might see here in the Palmetto State if and when these tariffs are put into place. Lauren?
Yeah, Mel, well, since President Trump announced these new tariffs, like you mentioned, he has agreed to that 30-day pause on Canada and Mexico, but the ones on China still stand. Now, I actually sat down with this professor when President Trump was first elected back in November. We discussed all of his potential policies, including tariffs, and I caught up with him again now that these policies are actually in place, and we could see some effect soon. Now, the first thing we discussed was what exactly tariffs are. Well, Dr. Mark Witte describes them simply as taxes on imports. When goods come into the United States, there can be a tax placed on the entrance of that good into the country. Witte explains that South Carolina is unique because our state has a great deal of manufacturing, employment, and manufacturing capacity.
One of the issues that South Carolina manufacturers are going to find is that the global supply chains that are in place, well, those global supply chains are much more expensive than they otherwise would be. So anytime BMW is importing in a brake pad from China or some kind of other auto part or mechanical part from Canada or Mexico, the price of those is going to go up. The cost of those is going to go up. And manufacturers in South Carolina, Boeing, Michelin, Volvo, BMW, they're going to have to respond to that.
Witte explains that because of the lockdowns in 2020, we have experienced major global supply chain disruptions. So firms have put together a more robust supply chain with many more suppliers rather than a single supplier. He says that to the extent that firms are able, they may try to shift those costs and suppliers to ones that are not being affected by the tariffs. Dr. Witte says it's unclear how long these tariffs will last. He says if these are long-term tariffs, firms will likely start to reshore positions into the U.S., which he says will take many years. Working for you, Lauren Lennon, News 4.